I want you off the fucking set, you prick.
What is that? What is violence?
All right, bitch ass fucking shit. I'll fucking choke your fucking
What are you
face.
doing? Do you not talk to me?
Fuck you! I'm just trying to fucking help you. Do you understand?
No, I'm pretty far from okay, man.
Take it one fucking line at a time.
Yeah, I can't read it. There's no words on it. I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass. You know, shut up for a second, all right?
Whatever it is, it's not right on teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Yell at me.
Are you serious?
Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again. I don't know what. And let's not have you fucking walking in. Do it live.
Who said that?
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
I don't call SuperGrid my movie.
That's funny because I was just an electric and I call it my movie.
Oh, sweet, nice. I would call it.
You wouldn't believe how many girls I had coming over like, this is my movie.
Nice.
Blah, blah.
My son's in this. No, I'm telling people that I'm in it, but after I saw it in IMAX, I stopped telling people I was in it. I was like, oh, well, no, because I'm barely fucking in it. I thought there was that, like, I wanted that 5-second scene of me running through smoke, double tapping the guy, and then fucking peeling off.
Yeah.
Like, how does that not?
I didn't even see you at all in the battle. Hey, are you gone completely from it?
No, completely
Which
gone.
is amazing to me because I remember, like, on the day, seeing you run it so many times.
Did it, and it was at the end of the day, and that day was the only scene I shot, and that was the end of the, I sat around for fucking 12 hours to shoot that fucking scene, did it like 10 times, bust my fucking ass off, and then it didn't.
Would you give all the money back just to have that scene in the movie?
It's like the money that I didn't get for making the movie, you mean? Like I got not very much. Would I give it back to have that scene back in? Yeah, for sure.
No way.
It's like, well, I guarantee you
way.
I made a lot less than you fucking did.
That's like Heistry. How much
doubt
effort
that.
I put into my covering my stomach bit didn't even make frame.
Yeah, well, High Street, I split my head open, and that was behind the fucking counter, completely out of fucking frame.
Because I won't get any royalties or anything after, like, once the last day of film is done, that's the last time I'll get paid from that movie forever.
Right. Well, yeah, me too. I'm not gonna get you. I don't get any fucking royalties.
Oh, sure you will. From Actra?
Well, I fucking hope so, but I doubt it.
Couple of dimes over here, a couple of dimes over there. That's a career.
I get my $25 a year from Supernatural, so that's good.
Nice. You went to Vancouver to shoot that, I assume? Or is that Toronto?
I was in Vancouver. I lived in Vancouver for 5-6 years before I moved out here.
Okay.
And at least now you know why you're getting paid for 2 episodes.
Yes. Yeah, totally true. Yeah. I didn't know I was in 2 episodes until
You use
this
them in
summer.
archival footage.
Oh, nice. Surprise.
That was sweet, brother.
Cool. So here we are. We're on the podcast. We got in attendance Josh Fleming.
Hello.
Of what fame? What would people know you from?
I don't know. I've been on stage a few times. I'm a comedian. In the
Okay, if
city,
you've
I
gone
guess.
to some small local stages, you might have caught him. Same with our other man, David Carnegie here, who you met before.
Yes.
And that's about as talkative as he gets. And we were Shawn.
Oh,
I still want you to pronounce your last
Shawn
name. 'Cause-
Koch?
Yeah, I don't want to fuck it up.
that's okay.
Shawn Koch. And he is much more famous than these two losers. He's in Supernatural.
I'm so famous I get cut out of films.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you said you're not
He's
going to
been
edit, but you might want to edit out Sean listing his credits because he can go on for a while.
Well, because there's a few of them.
He's been cut out of bigger movies than you guys have been in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. This is my first rodeo, boys.
Okay, so this is the Movie Magic Podcast, and my way of introduction to people is to list their favorite films of all time. Sean, I'll give you some minutes to think about it while we talk to Josh here.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I have a list prepared.
And because this is how I judge people, is definitely by the way the movies that they love.
Me too.
If you love a shitty movie, then yes, we will not be good friends.
But if it's a good shitty movie, though,
It depends. Yeah, it can depend. Yeah.
I think we're.
I would like to. Do you guys have those platters?
Yeah. They're just in the black square in the bottom.
Right there. I'll get a party platter.
Okay, we have a small and a large. I know it's not stated in there, but we do have 2 different sizes. The small is just under $20. The large is just under $40.
I'll get the small.
Okay, what flavor of wings would you like?
Do you have Greek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be outstanding.
Okay, sounds good. Everybody else is all right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they will partake in the platter.
That's amazing.
Okay, So, Josh, let's hear it.
Want to hear my list?
And how many?
Yeah, did you?
I did 10.
The thing is, not less than 3
Yeah.
and not more than 10.
Yeah.
So somewhere between 3 and 10.
I had 12, and I had to whittle it down. I took
Okay,
2 off.
I don't want to hear about the 2 you took off because
yeah.
they're not your 10 favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Some
and-
people try and bullshit like
Yeah.
honorable mention. No,
No,
I don't want the honorable
mentions.
mention.
Okay, no
I want
honorable
the
mentions.
real.
And even this is kind of just the 10 that I could think of in a day's notice.
Okay, and don't burn through them. We'll talk about each
Oh,
one.
okay. Each one. 10 years.
Is number 10 is 10 years?
And it's not in a specific order, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen 10
So
years?
you love them all equally. Yeah, 10 years. Very good.
Yeah.
It's Channing Tatum, right?
Yeah, Channing Tatum. The cast list is amazing. Chris Pratt's in there.
Llewyn Davis.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, Llewyn Davis.
It's
as well.
Who directed it?
Probably nobody. It's a 10-year anniversary movie.
I believe it's the same. Whoever did.
Poor directors.
I'm really bad with directors, but I think it's the same person who did Take Me Home Tonight, which I also
and I
really
actually really like that one
Yeah.
too. I'll have to look up who it is.
But yeah, Chris Pratt, Justin Long, Rosario Dawson. The cast list is insane.
And it,
The girl who dies in season 1 of House of Cards.
Yes, Kate Mara. Amazing.
Kate Mara's great.
Kate Mara.
yeah. So it came out in
We got a
2000.
Marshall, Kate Mara.
Yeah, 2011. And so some of these people are big, but they're not like massive.
Right.
And some of them, like Chris Pratt, would become massive
Yes.
after the
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
came out. So really good job casting. Jamie Linden is the guy who directed it. He also wrote We Are Marshall, Money Monster, and he's directed
That's
nothing.
weird, eh?
Nothing else.
He's
Wow.
directed nothing else.
You brought it up?
Well, I just brought it up, and he wrote that movie. Like, I didn't
yeah,
bring it
yeah.
up because I knew he wrote
He
it.
only works with Kate Mara.
He's never directed anything else. He directed 10 years,
that's
and he
crazy.
has one movie
Can I get a
theoretically
basic?
in development.
Can I get a basic premise
It's
of
a
10 years?
10-year reunion.
Oh, okay.
Jenna Dewan Tatum also plays Channing Tatum's wife, which
Oh,
I
too
really like her
soon.
too.
Right,
Yeah, I
they
know.
broke up.
Is that his real wife?
It
When they
was
broke
at
up?
the time, yeah.
Oh.
At the time it was, or because of that she became?
This is the
I
plot
think it
summary.
meant on Step Up.
This is the plot
right.
summary as listed on IMDb. The night of their high school reunion, a group of friends realize they still haven't quite grown up in some ways. That's a brutal
Yeah.
log line. That's clearly written by some mark-ass, trick-ass bitch.
Well, and it's kind of like it's kind of all their intertwining stories, and it kind of bounces around
What's
a
the
little
song called?
bit. Wonder.
It's a good song.
Yes, the song in it is Isaac.
As
why
good as
can't
this
I?
song?
Oscar Isaac is his name.
Yeah, Llewyn Davis.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in it.
So
isn't he?
he's the musician.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he,
Incredible cast, actually.
I think it's Greatest Love.
Llewyn Davis.
Something about Greatest Love You Never Had, I believe. Something like that.
Sure.
It's one of those things that if you were to get that cast in a movie right now, it
Right.
would cost you like $10 million
And this is
as a
indie
starting point, just for the
super-
cast.
Like this probably took. I mean, they could have filmed it in like a week. Like that's how simple this movie is.
Channing Tatum, great cameo in Pineapple Express.
I don't remember. What does he do?
He shows up as Danny McBride's gimp.
No, this is the end. You're thinking.
Oh, this is the end! Oh, no! Oh, no!
You
Oh, I
came
blew
in-
it. Because they do Pineapple Express 2, and
yeah.
this is the end. That's
Yeah,
why.
brutal.
You're right. Oh, I blew that. You know what? I guess I'm out. Sorry.
That's
I gotta go.
embarrassing.
This is why you don't like podcasts.
That's
This
embarrassing.
is exactly why.
Yeah.
But
he
the
gets
good
he
news-
gets destroyed by fact checking.
The good news for Sean. The good news for Sean is that Pineapple Express and This Is the End are both in Sean's top 10 movies all time.
So he's not going
We're
on.
covering all
Not
the
true,
bases.
No, This Is the End is not in the list, but Pineapple Express 2 is in his top 10, even though it's only like a minute and a half.
Yeah. So yeah, 10 years. Highly recommend that.
And also, if we could keep a banging of the table to a minimum.
Oh, was that a bang?
Because it
Okay,
will
so-
it will affect audio. If you have to do it, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But just
Yeah.
be conscious of it.
Have you seen Me and Earl and the Dying Girl?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that movie. I'm a sucker for sad stories.
Okay.
So
You must love Schindler's List.
I haven't seen it, but
You'll love it.
yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, cancer and the whole. They like. Have you seen this movie at all? Me and Earl and the
I
Dying
haven't seen
Girl?
it, no.
It's a guy. Like a young kid in high school gets kind of forced to be friends with a girl because the
'Cause
mom
she's dying.
The mom finds out she's got cancer, and
Right.
so she makes the kid hang out with her, and then they end up having like a super good friendship. And his only other buddy Earl, they make movies together, like really bad
Shitty movies, yeah.
remakes of movies,
So the girl-
or spoofs or something like that.
The girl dies, or he has to be with her before she dies.
Yeah, before she dies. And
I mean, it's in the title.
and the best part is they like say at the beginning, like,
Yeah,
she's gonna die at the end of the
don't worry.
movie. Don't
Nope.
kid yourself, she's gonna die.
No.
Don't they say that
You're
at the beginning?
misremembering. They specifically say she's not going to die. Don't worry, there's not a sad ending here. Spoiler
And
alert.
sad ending.
Oh,
There
spoiler
is.
alert.
Have you seen? That seems to me it's a little bit different, but Moonlight Mile with Jake Gyllenhaal,
No.
where he's dating a girl and then they're gonna break up, but she passes away and he stays to like help the parents cope with it.
Oh.
It's kind of a.
Is that an older one? It seems like it'd be.
Susan Sarandon's in it.
Okay,
Plays the
wow.
girl's mom.
The guy.
So now we've heard
Susan
3 of
Sarandon.
Sean's top 10s.
No.
The only guy, Thomas Mann, I know plays the lead. He was also the kid who hosted the party
Yeah.
at Project X.
And then the black guy, isn't he the same? Didn't he in
He did
Power
some-
Rangers?
Yeah, Power
After
Rangers.
that,
That's right. And the girl's done a ton of stuff. She was in Bates Motel, I know.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Isn't it?
think what else.
What's her name? I feel like I
Molly
even know her
Shannon
name.
was the mom.
Isn't it Leighton Meester?
No.
Is that not the girl? No.
That's a Gossip Girl.
I swear she looks like her or something like that. Okay. We actually saw that early in our film watcher group career.
And is John Bernthal? Is he a teacher? Right? He's like the guidance counselor that they watch. They go in his office. He lets them watch movies.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
he's incredible. I
Yeah.
love John Bernthal
Yeah.
and everything he does.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
I'd have to see a picture.
The Punisher.
I'd have to see a picture.
Why?
Oh, wait, was he in Baby Driver?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
he
The
was.
one with the girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
No?
No, because John Hamm has the girlfriend. But he's
Oh,
their
right,
he's their
right.
partner. Yeah.
Jeez.
The
This
protagonist
guy's
also.
rubbing off on me. I'm misremembering a whole bunch of things that I don't usually.
When you point at
Olivia
somebody,
Cook.
Oh,
Olivia
okay,
Cook.
Olivia
So she
Cook.
looks a lot like Leighton Meester, though. Even as I look at this picture now, I feel like they look
She was
very
in Ready
similar.
Player One. Okay.
Yeah. She's good.
Yeah, she is. Really
She's
good.
actually really good in that movie. Underrated,
Haven't
in
seen
fact,
it.
I would say. No, in Me, Earl, and
Oh,
Dying Girl, I
yes,
would say she's
definitely.
underrated.
No, like the
performance.
scenes, because one of the reasons I love it is and especially like the montage that they'll do of her having good days and having bad days. I don't know if you remember that, but like I feel like it.
Can you steal these out of the way? Just
I
let
do.
me know if you guys want to see it again. I
Yeah.
can bring it back.
That's fine, thanks.
Not that I've ever known anyone super close that's gone through stuff like that, and, but I feel like they captured what it would be like really well.
Yeah, it's good. The one that I like that does the same thing that I like even better is with
50-50.
Ansel Elgort from Baby Driver.
Fault in Our Stars.
A Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, yeah.
That one's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen it actually.
It's got a
but-
lot more humor in it actually,
Right.
and it's played maybe a little more realistic, like less artsy.
Oh, okay.
Because Me, Earl, and Dying Girl is shot in a really artistic way,
Yes,
right? Like
yeah.
it's stylized,
Right.
whereas The Fault in Our Stars is not.
the worst part about Fault in Our Stars was it was either the trailer before Fault in Our Stars, or this was the trailer before Divergent, I think it was, where the same two lead characters who are love interests, the two characters who are love interests in
Yeah,
Fault in Our
they're in
Stars
both
are
movies.
brother and sister in the other one.
Okay, that's bad.
Yeah.
And they came out at about the same time? Or
Well,
what?
no, it's just that the one opened with the trailer that established that they were brother and sister. So it's like, hey, now watch the movie where they're in love. Cool.
That could have been avoided back in the day when they had the proper Hollywood system and they would control every movie that went into the theater at a specific time. They had their own theaters.
Right.
Now you end up with this: brothers and sisters making out and
Bring back the Blacklist.
So, and I didn't want to I could have easily put a million superhero movies, but I wanted to keep it to my favorites, so I have to go.
Black Panther.
The Dark Knight is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Dark Knight,
Yeah.
superb
Yeah,
film.
I mean, Joker is probably one of my favorite characters in any sort of print or movie or TV history. And
There's one thing I don't get is that like I went to the premiere of that movie in Vancouver, and great opening scene, one of the best opening scenes of any movie ever.
Yeah.
And he takes off the mask, reveals himself, and then the
Right.
whole crowd cheered. And I was like, this guy's the fucking bad guy. What are you guys
Yeah.
doing? Like and I
Right.
realized I was the only one there for Batman.
well, I do believe that because lots of people, I think Batman's my favorite superhero, and I think it is his rogues that do it. And
Yeah,
I
that's the
get
thing.
that argument with Spider-Man too. 'cause-
It's good and evil. You need
Right.
the Joker
Yeah.
in order for Batman to be so awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
It's because you need someone who's as crazy as
Right.
the Joker.
Was The Dark Knight ever nominated for Best Picture?
No, that was the one that changed everything.
Yeah, they
That
didn't
was
have
the
10 movies at the time,
Yeah, they
right?
they've
Right.
gone back to 5, and then that was the one that everyone was like, clearly this should have been nominated for Best Picture.
That's right.
And so they made up for it not by recognizing it, but by making a future for 10 movies to be nominated again, and never
But
nominating
to
another
be fair,
superhero movie until this year.
Changing the system's pretty good legacy to have, I guess. At least Heath Ledger won.
That's like a
posthumously.
an Pixar thing too.
It's good, but it's too little too late. It's the whole point of like where Leonardo DiCaprio wins for a movie that he shouldn't have won for because they didn't give it to him the movie that he should have won for back in the day. It's like all you're doing though is you're screwing over the guy who should have won this year.
But that happened to Russell Crowe too, right? He should have won for The Insider. He won the following year for Gladiator.
Yeah.
Which kind of threw off the next guy.
I don't know The Insider.
The Insider, that's nice.
Although I do also think he deserved it for Gladiator.
I was going to say, that's nice.
The Insider, he's a whistleblower in the tobacco industry.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And he gets blackballed.
It's quite good. It's good, like political suspense thriller. Before there was too many of those.
Interesting too. I Am Heath Ledger, the documentary.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They I thought they raised a nice thing in there about the Dark Knight, about how the misconception about his death was
That
that
it ruined
the
that-
Joker
yeah,
overtook
yeah.
him.
Yeah,
which couldn't be farther from the truth. Like his dialect coach was like, we were having way too much fun on set on that movie.
Yeah.
For
No,
a
that was
professional
really
actor.
good. They cleared that up.
I thought that was nice too. Like he was happy. He was working way too hard, and he obviously had a addictions problem.
Yeah.
I mean, so
And he was already on to the next movie. Yeah. It's like
that's
one of those things that the problem is the celebrity dies and they refuse to say anything until the autopsy comes back.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen for
and the
a
media's
while.
already taken it over.
Right? And the media's already created a story, and now it's too hard to erase that one, right?
Interesting.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you need anything else for the moment?
No, that's good. Thanks.
But yes, I agree. The opening, the bank robbery, unbelievable. And that's the whole movie. I've rewatched it. I've lost count of how many
that's
times
one of the
I've
best
seen it.
openings to a movie ever.
Yeah.
That and Swordfish.
Right?
John Travolta, Swordfish. Opening.
I don't remember the opening so much.
He's describing the intro to, or what's happening in Dog Day Afternoon.
Right.
When they pull out, and
Right.
it's the exact scenario he's just described.
Right, yeah, okay.
It
Yeah.
was pretty slick. I liked it.
Yeah.
I like the opening of Lion King.
I bet you did. Dark Knight, actually, when it came out, I liked it. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. My expectations were too high.
Right.
And I thought, like, this movie's not as good as I thought it would be. And then every time that I've watched it since then, it's
Better,
risen
better.
in my
Okay.
estimation until
What's
to
your-
the point now where I'm like, okay, yeah, this movie
What's
is...
your favorite
yeah,
Christopher Nolan movie?
Inception. I think that's
It
the
is?
best
Oh,
one.
okay, nice.
I actually think that's one of the best films of all time.
Oh, cool.
Is that in your top 10?
Maybe.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Memento's pretty damn good too.
Someone just told me about a video online about the timing of Inception that I really want to check out. That like they made it all. I mean, I think the movie did a pretty good job of making it, but some video must have did.
They
like,
broke it apart?
A cram session of like really bringing it down. Because there are a lot of people who didn't like Inception.
Right.
It is a,
Yeah, haters we call them. That was one of, I think, his only film to get nominated for Best Picture. Christopher
Really?
Nolan.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
which is interesting.
and he was Memento, right?
Yeah,
That's,
Memento.
I love that movie.
Have you seen his first movie, The Following?
No.
Yes.
Black and white. Love that one.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I think his worst movie is a movie called Insomnia, 2002, I believe.
I didn't
the
mind.
Robert-
I didn't mind
the Robert
Insomnia.
No. And the thing is, it's not a bad movie. I'm just saying that's his worst
right,
movie.
right.
And that's how good he is, that's his worst movie, and it's totally watchable. It's like a decent movie.
Interesting. That's funny.
I wasn't crazy for Dunkirk like everybody was. I thought it sounded. I saw it in IMAX. I thought it sounded amazing. I wasn't blown away by the Inception type layering that he did with it, like the way they did those timelines. It didn't blow me away.
To me,
what is it? A week, an hour, or a week, a day, and an hour, or something like that? Or-
Something like that.
Yeah.
To me, it's the concept doesn't blow me away so much as just like the fact that it's able to portray war in such a sterile way that it's like
I'll give you that.
It doesn't have like a true narrative, like focus on one group of people.
Like
It's
a hero and a-
it gives you a good feel of this whole event without actually.
I haven't seen it either because I think I was thrown
Spoiler
off.
alert.
I was thrown off by the trailer. Oh, I don't care. I was thrown off by the trailer because I honestly remember seeing the trailer and like the part with just the water rising. Like I was like felt like I was suffocating. Like I feel like once it came, I took like a deep breath. Like I was like as it, oh yeah.
Isn't that a good thing to
But
make
no,
you want to watch
but
the
I
movie?
like I have to give it props even for that sake. Like just even if it's not good, I'll be like, hey, it made me take a deep breath.
You know what's better
as
than
the
that
water
was the
rising.
teaser, the original teaser, which was just the sound of like a plane coming, and you see all those helmets, and the one guy's head turns and looks, and then everybody follows
right,
him.
they're on the boat
Eventually,
going,
everyone
Beautiful.
looks, so good. And then they eventually like duck down.
Honestly,
and
like an
race
underrated. Like I thought it was underrated the year it came out. I thought people were
Dunkirk.
like, yeah, I
not
thought
by
it
the
was-
critics certainly, but maybe by the population. Maybe
I
the
don't-
critics had it like 10 out of 10.
You love it?
Actually, that was nominated for
I just
Best
thought it was
Picture,
underrated.
so it can't.
Oh, okay.
So I
so
correct
you probably
myself.
just you knew that fact before Dunkirk a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
I
that's
correct
right.
myself. The other thing about Dunkirk,
myself.
the other thing about Dunkirk is that to me, it has been so far one of the best cinema experiences that I've had. That like, even if the movie itself isn't so great, the sound and the images
The
when I
sound
watched
editing
it
and the
was
sound on
like,
that was unbelievable.
You know what?
breathtaking.
That's
Like,
it.
it
That-
literally took me over and
Another
like.
factor in me not seeing it yet is I really wanted to see it in IMAX,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to.
Yeah.
Did you see an IMAX?
Yeah.
Yeah. IMAX was great.
Yeah.
Because that's what he meant to be. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
That was the original format.
Yeah, and then so the other superhero movie I have in my top 10, because it's one of my favorites in the last few years, is Guardians of the Galaxy, which I absolutely love. I feel
Number
like-
one, I assume. Yeah.
Did you see that in IMAX?
I didn't, no.
Did you see it on your phone?
No, I don't watch movies on my phone either. But no, yeah, I just loved it. I didn't know anything about the characters going into it, and I don't know if that added to me enjoying it, because
Yeah.
I just didn't have any expectations whatsoever. I remember kind of when I saw the first trailer, thinking it was going to be like the first Marvel flop, because I was like, what, a talking tree and a raccoon?
Yeah.
This is going to be stupid.
Yeah,
and
same.
I remember, and then like, because Chris Pratt wasn't what he is now, and they were like, the cast listings like, Bradley Cooper voices a raccoon and Chris Pratt is the lead. I'm like, those have to be mixed up, obviously. 'Cause- right? And then, and then those are my favorite two characters in
Hey,
the whole MCU.
Josh,
Like,
you know what? Sometimes it can feel like there's 100 people in the room, and 99 of them aren't.
Yeah, and like the whole like the I am Groot part at the end, I cry every single time I get there. Or the We Are Groot. That's my favorite.
Refresh me. What happens at the end of number
Well,
one?
because you
His dad comes out of the cornfield, and he's like, "We are Groot."
no,
Nope.
so because yeah, it's obviously the only line he says over and over is I am Groot, right?
Yeah.
And then so at the very end, he encases like he grows all his vines because they're in the ship crashing to the planet. So he encases all of the Guardians.
Well, you don't know We Are Groot? Like, for real?
He's just asked for a reminder.
Oh, okay.
And then so his last line is "We are Groot." So he's has the strength to muster up like
Oh,
a
okay.
different sentence. I feel like it portrays like that's how much love he has for them, is he's able to finally muster two slightly different words.
Okay, nice.
So I love it.
That was one I did like the first one, but I thought the second one even improved upon the first one.
I thought the second one tried a little too hard.
Yeah, okay.
A little too hard.
I could see that. Like
Like,
a
the
lot of
second one
people
didn't
felt
have the
that
charm. I feel didn't have the charm of the first one.
And-
But I like all of the characters in Guardians
And
of the Galaxy.
I genuinely feel like I don't like that. I'm blanking on his name, but the villain, like,
Kurt
it's
Russell?
Roman. I can't remember the actor's name.
Which
James, he's a tall guy. He's in *Halt and Catch Fire*, and he's in the *Lord of the Rings*, I think, or maybe *The Hobbit*.
And number one or number two?
I don't even know. I haven't seen those.
No, number one, number two of.
Guardians. Yeah, he plays Roman. I feel like he gets slated in with the bad Marvel villains, and I don't think he is. I think if you actually pay attention to his storyline.
Are you talking about the guy with the mohawk?
No, that's
No, the guy at
Dadu,
the end that he
I
gets
don't
the
know any of the
crystal from.
character
When,
names, that's
at the end of Guardians 1, Chris Pratt does the dance thing.
He's Thanos'
Star-Lord
son,
is- yeah.
and he's trying to destroy the planet because he's like basically trying to wipe out the entire race because he feels like
He's got this kind of weird hood.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
He
I
gets
don't know who the actor is.
he gets overshadowed by Thanos in that. That's the problem.
I don't think
feel.
so. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel.
Don't we all?
Who's your girlfriend, bro?
Well, that's Ray from Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
What are you referring to? The folks that know?
My background.
His screensaver.
Hey, Josh. Just one question. I was wondering.
Yeah.
How is your plotting so far?
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Lee Pace is his name.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you come up with your ideas?
What do you mean?
This is the Norm reference.
Oh, great.
I thought you would have known it from the. That's what Adam Egate would always ask the comedians when they come on. He's like, "Oh, I've been dying to ask this all day. How do you come up with your ideas?"
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Yeah. And I realized also making this list I didn't have a ton of comedy movies, which I felt like was bad because I
So
love.
you added some out of obligation.
No, so I thought of my. I know some people like the first two parts better, but I have a place in my heart for. I've always loved Army of Darkness. It's one of my,
Right, yeah.
It made me love Bruce Campbell for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
for me, my favorite is number 2, but that's because that was the first one I saw.
And see, I think that I didn't know that it had predecessors, so I just saw Army of Darkness first.
Exactly. I think you just love it wherever you come in, maybe.
Right.
My biggest thing about those movies, I saw those a little bit later on, and when I saw them, it just smacked me in the face how Jim Carrey took everything from Bruce Campbell.
Oh, wow.
Everything.
Shots fired.
Well, no.
You heard it here first.
No, Jim Carrey's great, but Jim Carrey's doing Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, okay.
He's doing Bruce Campbell.
Wow.
He really is.
That's funny. See, here's my... And here's,
you got a timeline on that? Is there a fact check of...
Jim Carrey is also the only comedian ever to take something from another comedian.
Here's my theory on Bruce Campbell.
What year is Army of Darkness?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Early 80s?
Early 80s.
Well,
Okay, then it would be way
I'm
before.
not saying Jim Carrey's not talented. All I'm saying is how he came on the scene and everybody was so blown away by what he did. He was doing Bruce Campbell.
Right.
So when I went back and saw what Bruce Campbell's work was doing.
Is 1992.
92?
Yeah.
That's still got to be earlier than Carrey, because Carrey started coming out at 90 and 90.
He would have been on in Living Color in 92.
Yeah.
That started in 91.
Yeah.
Maybe 90.
Which is, but so if Army Darkness is 92, Evil Dead must have been earlier, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Carrey's also said that Bruce Campbell's an influence on him.
That makes sense.
Okay.
He's admitted it.
Okay.
And here's my theory on... Oh, Evil Dead actually is 1981.
Yeah, there you go. That's way...
Wow.
There's the early...
I guess if I think about it now, he is very young in that movie. But my theory...
He's aged well.
Yeah. My theory on Bruce Campbell, why I think I love him so much too, or well, retroactively, like what I love him more, I feel like he got his acting inspiration from. I went back and watched the entire original series of Star Trek, and I think he's a huge William Shatner.
Doing Shatner, okay.
I really do. Because the only difference is I think he knows he's playing a shtick,
right.
Whereas Shatner's like, I'm fucking killing this scene right now. And
no,
it's like,
and that's true of all artists of all time. Like, everyone gets their stuff is inspired by and you know, in a mutation of whoever they saw before them, right?
It's mostly in, because I've always loved, my favorite part of that movie is when he's playing both Good Ash and Evil Ash, when he's doing it. And his Evil Ash is so over the top, and if you ever watch those old Star Treks where he's playing an evil Kirk, oh man, he's so crazy over the top. He gets so red in the face. Where it's like, oh man, like I'm like, this is Bruce Campbell on screen right now.
It's taking something, but then it's making it your own. So Jim Carrey made his own thing, but he had some Bruce Campbell roots. An underappreciated Bruce Campbell film that I don't know if it'll show up in my top 10, but I don't think it's Bubba Hotep.
Oh yeah,
with Bruce Campbell and Ozzie Davis,
where
they're stuck in an old folks' home, and they think they're Elvis Presley and John F. Kennedy.
In the backstory, he says that he switched lives with that Elvis impersonator, but he lost.
Which is a common Elvis conspiracy theory that there was two Elvises.
Yes, they switched lives, and he lost his side of the contract, so he could never go back. So the real Elvis, the Elvis that died, was the impersonator, and he's stuck in this old folks' home with the. Yes,
great thing.
With an old man in a wheelchair who claims to be JFK, died, and they dyed his skin black.
What year is that? Is that before, middle?
That would have been like 2000.
Okay,
late 90s.
Okay, but way after.
I'm gonna call Bubba Hotep 98.
Okay.
I want to say 98 or 99.
Fact check coming in hot.
2002.
Oh, I'm only up.
That's 4 years. But
when
close.
you're in the wrong millennium, it's not close enough.
Yeah, that's true. All right, what's next?
Y2K. How many are out here?
That would have been 5, I think.
Do you remember Y2K or?
Oh yeah, all the computers.
Y2K was hilarious.
No. Like, how old were you? I feel like you were in diapers at the time.
2000? In the year 2000?
Yeah.
Year 2000. I was doing Conan. Nice.
That was a great bit. Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah, it was really good. I would have been 9, I guess.
When he got his new show, he started in the year 3000. They updated it. Yeah.
For Gambino.
Which makes sense. I saw that his show is only half an hour now.
Really?
At least like on the TV guide last night, I was flipping channels and there's Conan and it was only half-hour block. I was like, man, they keep doing this guy dirty. It's just like he deserves so much better than what he gets.
That makes me sad because he's my favorite. Because my favorite part of talk shows has always been the talking segments.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was the one keeping that.
Wait, it's not when they sing in the car?
No, I fucking hate James Corden.
He's one of my favorites as well. But here's the thing: is when was the last time you watched Conan?
I don't have cable. But it's been a long time. Yeah.
But this kind of thing is that like if you don't actually support them by,
Yeah.
that's how they disappear.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to go and do it. I'm just saying,
No, it's true.
yeah.
But I would literally watch him every day I probably did 5 years, and then I got rid of cable. I haven't seen him anymore.
Who's that?
Conan.
Oh.
As much as I would watch most talk shows when they had a good person I want to see interviewed and stuff like that, I would fast forward through lots of their monologues. But his show I watched every day.
Yeah. He was
for
great.
a long, long time.
All right.
And then another comedy that I got on there is I only saw it for the first time a few years ago. We actually watched it together, me and Shawn. But The Jerk, I really enjoyed.
Nice, classic.
It took me a long
Steve
time to
Martin.
get to it, but I super appreciated it.
Well, I think if you're not a Steve Martin fan,
And you know what?
and you watch The Jerk, you can see why Steve Martin was a
You
big
know what?
deal.
And I'm not the biggest Steve Martin fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was
Me
like,
neither.
And I was like, okay, this guy, yeah, he knows his stuff.
He just nailed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
My favorite part in that movie is when he sees his name in the phone book. Like that in his world, that was him making it. So he gets the phone book, he sees his name in it, and he does this huge dance.
I think even as a kid, I for whatever reason I didn't like what I perceived as like stupid humor. And I remember seeing like a second of it and being like, oh, this is kind of dumb. And then later, a little bit when I was still as cynical, but I saw somebody shooting these cans, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And oh man. And I think my favorite part of the entire thing is him saying like, I don't need you, I don't need anything. I need this. And he walks out, he ends up with like a chair, a desk lamp, a remote. He ends up with like 7 things. He's like, I need these. And he keeps listing them over and over and over. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And love The Jerk.
Steve Martin, I've seen a lot of his stuff over my life, especially a lot of his SNL stuff. And some of it just doesn't appeal to me, but the stuff that does, it's like, it makes it obvious to me that he's a comedic genius. Like the bits that he comes up with sometimes are gold. He's created some of the best characters on Saturday Night Live, right? Like the We Are Two Wild and Crazy Guys with Dan Aykroyd.
Steve Martin is the first stadium comic. He sold out stadiums. He would do stuff in the round. He'd pull up instruments. He'd do whatever. It was just him by himself, 20,000 people. He was the first guy to do that.
One of my favorite bits I've ever seen, not that I've seen those whole shows, but the one, I love the bit where the guitar lowers down.
Yeah.
He goes over and then it just goes back up. One chord. Oh, it's so funny. And back to his like SNL. He was so prominent on that before I never saw those early years. I thought he was a cast member because I always saw old Steve Martin segments.
But he was one of the biggest hosts in the very first years.
Yeah.
Well, is he the first 5-timer?
That's probably.
I think so.
Him or Ken Spurgeon would have been close. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It might have been her, but
He was on last week, or if you listen to the podcast, last year.
that was a good one. That was a good one. I knew you were saving up for something because you hadn't said much, but that was a good one. You strike when it's good.
Okay, I got another one here. This might be the one you judge me for the most. I don't know what your opinion on it is, but I just love it so much. Goon.
Wow, that's a surprising one.
You putting Goon in your top 10?
I do think it's a good movie, but a top 10, that is surprising.
I love that movie. I don't like every time I watch it, I find out something I love, like find something I love more and more about it.
Kim Coates, awesome.
Yeah.
Liv Schreiber, awesome.
Yeah. Alison Pill's great.
And Sean William Scott kind of playing against type a little. Like he's a good actor.
And Sean William Scott's so good. I'm glad to see him in something again. Like it's been a while. I was there for his glory days of American Pie and every other fucking comedy coming out that summer. So it's good to see him again. We also got our buddy playing goal from Regina, Saskatchewan, where we are from.
John Cherry?
Yeah, Jonathan Cherry, who was in a movie we just watched today, some of us who could get in. SuperGrid.
Oh, he was in that too. I think, and in my, not that it's been done a ton on screen that I've seen, but the pitch perfect Saskatchewan accent that I've ever seen on film. I thought he.
Is it that good? I don't know.
Who? It could have been a bit. I thought it was a bit dialed up. You could have. But
you know what?
For the purposes of that film and what he was trying to, I thought it was great.
And maybe this is a perception I have because I've watched like all the special features on the disc. In his audition, it was way over the top. So he toned it down a little bit.
Wow.
Well, the stuff with him and the Russians going at him is really good.
Yeah. The thing is, I never hear Saskatchewan accent. I don't know what it sounds like. So to me, it sounds like ridiculous when he's saying
You're nailing it right now.
You're nailing it.
That's what I'm afraid of. He has a couple of good lines. I even think they could have given him more in Goon 2 or even that one.
Again, maybe that's the beauty of the character, though. Is
just a little. My favorite line is, Two things. Don't touch my Percocets, and do you have any Percocets?
Yeah. So good. And the other character I really like too.
And for the record, I don't know anyone in Toronto who takes Percocets, but carry on.
Yeah. You're not hanging with any goalies.
That's right, I guess.
But I love.
Well, we are actually.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's how he does so well.
Question, David.
Yeah.
Do you have any Percocets?
No, the question you should ask is, do you know what Percocets are?
And do you?
No, is it drugs?
Right so far.
And the other character I really love in that too, like I like a lot of characters, but the assistant captain who is so in love with the captain of the team, who's constantly he's doing like the captain who's like, we're getting our asses kicked out there, guys. We gotta keep our heads up. He's like, keep your heads up. He keeps repeating the last. Sorry about the tail bang.
Yeah,
He's like the hype man for the captain.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love, and like even because
What a concept too for like for a movie where like this is the captain's job is just to support the captain. Like
right, and then he also has like because the captain's like a serious alcoholic in the movie,
Right.
And there's like one part where he drinks so hard and he just like passes out, and the guy like whispers in his ear like, "Oh, you're in a better place, like old timer." He's like he's gonna take care of him and like get him home.
Who's the guy? He's the defenseman, and he becomes the assistant coach in part 2.
I think
that
he
guy
is
you're
in
talking
part
about.
2, yeah. Which I don't want to talk about part 2 because that movie depressed me.
Okay, and is the captain the French guy or no?
No, Xavier Laflamme.
Okay,
Which I know.
I do think Laflamme is one of the better characters because it's like I've seen in real life that guy multiple times. So I think that's one of the most
And
accurate
I don't know
players
the
in the
actor's
movie.
name, but I know he's from watching the Jay Baruchel in the commentary says he's won whatever the French equivalent of like an Oscar is. He's won one of those. Like he's
really?
an amazing
He's huge
actor.
in French Quebec.
Yeah.
It's called Les Oscar.
And can he actually skate? I assume he can.
I think he did. Yeah. He actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure the only one who couldn't skate was Sean William Scott. Yeah.
And he sold it better than an actor in a movie that I recently worked on, who I will not name.
But he also played a character who didn't skate very well. Like, that's not why he was there. He wasn't there because he could skate well.
Okay, but in the concept of a movie, being able to skate, huge obstacle in being a good fighter.
Right.
Like you're not a good fighter if you're not good on skates.
Not to mention in filming a movie, I just came off a movie where we had to get this guy who'd never been on skates to pretend to be skating, and what they actually ended up doing was putting him on a sled and pulling that with guys who actually could skate were pulling it. And he's just doing this like bent over, standing there, and he's supposed to just pretend like he's skating. He couldn't even get the side to side down. Like it looked so bad.
Where was it shot?
I would rather not say, just so that I can't be
west of here.
West of here.
Okay.
And I was so sad because I was like, I always hate movies like this that it's just like so inaccurate about sports, and here I am working on one, and it's just like, come on, guys, like fuck.
Yeah, no, I know David feels the exact same way, don't you, David?
Man, when you see goalies wearing backwards pads, like go home.
And referees wearing like the wrong jerseys and stuff. It's just like.
But one of my biggest gripes too is I hate. I love Goon so much. I hate when people just say it's a hockey movie. And like you haven't.
But I think we have to qualify. We're saying how good Goon is. We have to qualify how bad we think Goon 2 is.
Awful.
Because Goon 2 was so over the top. Way too much. The language was way like.
And they made
I checked out of it.
And they made a thing that would never happen, like guys just fighting on ice. Like if it was going to resort to purely fighting, it would never be on skates. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
And I feel bad because I thought Wyatt Russell was really good. Like I liked him.
He's a good actor. He's a good actor.
I really liked him. He's great in 22 Jump Street.
He has an episode of Black Mirror that's
really
unbelievable.
He was really good in Everybody Wants Some. Have you ever seen that?
I never did see it. You know what I always meant to.
Richard Linklater's 80s movie, right?
Yeah, very good.
But you said I never saw 2, but the concept of where it's just straight up a fight on ice.
Yeah, they do like a team.
No,
and whole crowd show up.
For real, they've
done that.
pitched that.
They've
They
done
pitched
that
that in real life. That was
the
a real
battle
thing.
of the whatever it's called.
Well, those guys are idiots. If we just never let Americans into hockey, then there would be still fighting in hockey, and hockey would be amazing.
Quebec, the Quebec
Do you want
league.
to beer? Sorry to interrupt.
No, sure, I'll get him
What
a
were you
Pilsner.
drinking? Oh.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Quebec, something.
Quebec, they are tough. They have those fighting type of like the Quebec league, like the guys that come out of that Quebec senior league that's below.
Yeah.
It's nut bar. Like it is absolute. Like I had a little bit because I lived in Montreal for a while. I went to school out there, taught for a bit, coached some hockey. Like playing against Laval is in hockey. It's insane. Like you go into visiting teams' rinks. Like I was with a grade 7 hockey team. We barely got out of there. Like it was insane.
And also, so another one I have, because I love Goon so much, I only picked the rest of my movies all rhyme with it. So Moon. That's not actually the reason.
Yeah.
I really love Moon a lot.
Jackie, Sam Rockwell?
Dune?
No, Moon?
Yeah, Sam Rockwell, yeah.
What about Dune?
I've never seen Doom.
Okay.
What about, no, I don't know any other ones that rhyme with.
Doom? Can we get a movie with Doom with The Rock? Anyway, Moon.
I'm just trying to think of rhyming words here.
Yeah.
Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you like, that's sort of an unconventional pick for top 10. Why do you like Moon so
I'm
much?
a huge Sam Rockwell fan, and I feel like that's my favorite. I love the story in it. And I feel like it has it's a weird ending. It's like super tragic for some of the characters, and then but also happy for.
Carnegie's never even heard of it.
Have you ever seen? No. You want me to run it down for you?
I haven't seen Moon.
Do you want me to run it down for you?
No, because I've been waiting to see it.
Give us a brief what it's actually about.
Okay. So there's a guy who's manning a station. Sam Rockwell plays this guy who's manning a station on the moon. And
groundbreaking description so far.
On the titular moon. And
Wow.
yeah. And he basically there's like a little moon, like a little vehicle he has to go out onto the surface and stuff like that. And he gets in an accident, and then seemingly he's okay. The next morning he wakes up. Who plays it's not space.
I meant more of like a short, 2-sentence description of what.
I'm not good at those. Not good at those.
You're about to rehash the whole movie for us here.
Okay, well, stop after this next section. It's seemingly he's okay the next day. It turns out it's a clone. First guy in the accident didn't die. He comes back and runs into his own clone.
Oh wow!
That's manning this. So it's a psychological.
Like it's low budget, low crew, low cast. All
it's
those
Sam
things,
Rockwell
right?
acting across Sam Rockwell, which is maybe why I love it so much.
He's the only actor, isn't he, in the whole movie?
They show his wife on tele video phone. Basically.
So it's Castaway-ish.
Yeah.
Is her name June?
No, it's not.
I don't remember it too well, but very good.
Yeah,
and Sam Rockwell is incredible as always.
I absolutely highly recommend that one too. And so we're in the last couple. I think I only have 2 left on here.
Nice.
And this, because of what it opened me up to after, I have to go Straight Outta Compton. I think is one of my favorite movies.
Whoa, that blows my mind.
Yeah. Just as a pick in general.
So, well, here's the thing. It's actually like the NWA back in the day, and so.
Okay.
In my experience, the only people I've encountered that really liked that movie were people who didn't know of the band before and didn't like them before.
I would fall into that category.
Yeah, I didn't at all.
Yeah.
And,
You don't like it because
I don't know, it just seems like fake and cheesy and whatever.
Right,
I like their music way better than that movie.
right.
Because I am aware of the liberties they took with they didn't make up nicely before Easy died.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Stuff like
That's one problem I have with it. Among others, yeah.
So I can get the. But I guess one of the reasons I appreciate it so much is I was never a huge gangster rap fan or any. I was into a little bit of new age rap, kind of like Tech Nine and stuff like that. And then so after that movie, I pretty much went straight out and got this a whole bunch of
NWA greatest hits and it fucking blew your
Corey,
mind.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like the movie gave me some stuff. You see it from a certain point of view, being a farm boy from Saskatchewan when NWA breaks, and we're listening to this stuff, and as young teens in Canada, being completely disassociated from what's actually going on with what they're doing. I thought it was nice to see that story, even though they took a ton of liberties. Dre and Cube made sure their legacies looked good.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And also, I really, ever since then, I've been a huge fan of. I thought O'Shea Jackson Jr. was incredible in it.
He was.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's even better in Den of Thieves. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's good though.
Fuck, is that good?
Yeah.
It's going to be on my list of most underrated films from this past year.
Yeah. Okay,
so
nice.
good. One of the best true action movies to come out in years.
Oh, good. I'll check it out.
Yeah, so I do fall into the category of people who didn't know anything about it. I didn't know Dre had a brother that died. I've always said one quote I like to say, I'm okay. I like my history with like just a little bit of fiction to make it a better story. I'm okay with that.
So you know what's nice actually, a little bit of sidebar, it's more of a documentary type thing, is the Defiant Ones. That 4-part miniseries
exactly.
with Dre and Jimmy Iovine, and it really shows the stuff that Dre was hard to the core, and he almost blew that whole deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did like that.
It's a little bit of a different story, but it's way more interesting than Straight Outta Compton to me.
And then for my last one, which is probably my most pretentious pick that I might have to defend also, because it's probably the only movie on my list that I've only seen once. But Mulholland Drive, I really
wow.
Yeah.
2001, I believe.
Mulholland.
I only like 2 scenes in that movie, but and one I think I even said this on the podcast earlier. One is when Naomi Watts' character is jilling herself off in the living room there, and the other one is the surprise scene with the guy who pops around the corner of the fence.
The
Spoiler
dumpster.
alert.
Yeah, the tramp or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. No, I think when I first saw it, me and Shawn had a conversation about it, because I couldn't stop thinking about it for like days. It like super affected me, and I was just thinking like the whole, like any moment I was like awake, I was just like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, because I got into Lynch because via Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks, and so I was like,
this is going to be one of my other questions about this was, how much Lynch had you seen before this movie?
Just Twin Peaks. And the movie, which I didn't like.
And I was going to say, Twin Peaks, the original series?
So I guess if I'm being honest, I definitely first heard about Mulholland Drive via Mr. Skin being one of their being like, hey, if you want to see nudity, check this movie out. And so I was always like, Naomi Watts, I will someday. And,
I'm sure there's way better stuff out there now for 12-year-olds and stuff, but that movie came out when I was like 13 years old, it was like, it was awesome. I rented it from the library, and it's like, I can watch this on replay if I need to. I didn't, but I could have, you know what I'm saying.
When I was 13, I had the Sears catalog. That's all I had.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I ended up watching this like 21-minute. If you go like Mulholland Drive Explained, I'm pretty sure it's first hit on YouTube. 21 minutes, and I watched it and like loved it. And then so I was talking to Shawn about how much I loved it, and he's like, "Hey, but is it really a good movie if you have to watch a 21-minute explanation?" Which is a good point.
Exactly. This is my problem with 2001: A Space Odyssey, is that the only people who really, really like it are people who took a class on it. And I think that's unnecessary for a film.
Okay. Which I do agree, that's a good point. But I feel like I only did that because I really wanted to know. And I do feel like I rewatched the video actually today because
you've watched the explanation video more times than the movie itself.
Exactly. That says everything you need to know right there.
Because I'm a little unfamiliar with it, and I wanted to remember what I loved about it.
Well, I'm not. I'm just thinking it's funny.
If you've ever seen it, like the first scenes in it is like, I believe
it's kind of like 2 different movies. It's been a while since I saw it, but it's like 2 different movies, isn't it?
Yes. And the first half is, I think, is like a drug-induced dream, and because the characters in it, they're super over the top. There's like one point where this lady's laughing and she's like slow motion, like like knee slapping. I'm like, this is fucking terrible.
Do you want another schooner?
Sure. Yeah.
Yours was the boat, right?
And so I was like, this is really, really not good. And like so in my head I'm kind of saying like, well, the only way it could turn good is if they're purposely, for some reason, because I know Lynch is a little weird, I was like, maybe they're purposely acting super not good. And then there's a scene where Naomi Watts is auditioning for a movie because she plays an actress in the movie, and it's unbelievable. Like one of my favorite scenes in a movie. Where she does such a good job of this scene, and like the whole room is moved except this one director, which is she didn't get the job in, like it's in her drug-induced dream. It's like it's the reason why she didn't get the job, because this guy was so incompetent he couldn't recognize her genius, right?
Which can be the case.
Yeah, and so
it's happened to all of us.
So she has this unbelievable scene where I'm like, okay, so she was acting poorly on purpose, like she had to have been. Unless that was the first thing they ever shot. Right. And then 8 years later, they're like, let's finish this Mulholland Drive movie.
Oh, it's like that Leslie Jones sketch.
Ouch! Shots fired.
I
the
think
one where
David
she
likes
purposely
Leslie Jones.
It's that one where she purposely acts bad, and then they go into that press conference.
Right,
They
I love
talk
that
about
one. That was
sketch.
great.
Yeah. And so yeah, I
What, you thought I was talking about another Leslie Jones sketch?
He hates her.
But to be fair, I also did see what's the other Blue Velvet?
Blue Velvet, yeah.
Blue Velvet.
That one I wasn't as keen on. So I'm not a huge fan of everything Lynch does, but I really, really, really like Mulholland Drive.
Lost Highway messed me up.
That's the one I was thinking of. Sorry, Lost Highway with Bill Pullman.
Well,
Messed
Bill
you up. Do you
Pullman
like
and
it?
Robert Blake, who
That's
like,
right.
killed his
Oh.
wife.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the scene when he falls forward and impales himself.
Are you guys hungry at all?
on the glass table?
I'm not.
I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that one messed me up.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so do you like it? Like you say it messed you up, but do you...
It's funny. You said you saw Mulholland Drive once. I've seen Lost Highway once. I saw it in the theater the night before I had a football game. My back wasn't doing very well. I hated it, but I had to follow through with my pregame tradition. I wasn't in the right headspace, and I remember just like not liking it, but I couldn't leave. Like I've only left the theater one time.
I like it all.
And that was it?
So did you?
No, not during Lost Highway. I stayed till the
Okay.
end. I left during Home Fries with Drew Barrymore.
Did you?
I don't know if you've ever seen Home Fries. That is.
So did you?
I
you did
can't remember if I've seen it, but I
you
know the
didn't play
movie.
well that game. Did you not play as well?
No, it wasn't a good game.
Because
Towards ACL, end of his career.
I wanna see like an alternate universe of that where that was like your best game ever. And coach
Because
is
of
like,
Lost
hey, new game strategy. Everyone will pick a David Lynch movie. We're gonna get real fucking.
You don't want to
weird.
kill, motherfucker.
That's a good plot point.
I'm so curious about like how that makes you feel about it. Because, for example, there's this movie Irreversible. Have you ever heard of it?
Wow, Gaspar Noé. We're gonna talk about Irreversible.
Holy
Okay.
fuck.
You bringing this up?
Well, here's the thing.
How about the opening to that?
Exactly.
I think you got to explain to the guys who don't know what it's about.
Well, it's so
And
fucked
girls.
up. And the thing is, this movie, it was actually, fuck, that's a movie that like haunts me.
We can
And
give spoiler alerts on this. I think it plays Irreversible. It plays backwards.
completely
like
in
Memento.
backwards, but the Irreversible refers not only
So
that.
the title's a lie.
What happens in the first scene is that this chick, Monica Bellucci, hello, who's amazing beauty,
from Matrix 2.
she gets anally raped in a subway station
Wait, you're skipping ahead.
for like 10 solid minutes.
That's halfway through.
What's
The
first? Then? I don't
opening of
remember.
the scene is them beating that guy with the fire extinguisher. The movie opens with a brutal beating where they put the fire extinguisher to that guy's
Right.
head.
Actually, it ends-
halfway through the movie
Right.
is the 9-minute rape scene,
Right.
a long shot of where she's it's in a tunnel at a subway, and it's impossible to watch. It's impossible to watch. But the movie
bad.
has the most happy ending ever, because at the
But so-
beginning,
so
at the beginning she's pregnant, she's happy, they're in love, and it's slowly right.
But it's not a happy ending because of what preceded it.
Right, but the way it ended happy, because what we saw at the end was the happiness.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool.
And the reason I bring it up is because it's such a disturbing movie. Like, that's a scene I'll never ever fucking get out of my head. But that doesn't mean I like the movie. So when you say that like it wrecked me, I was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because there's some movies that like they're so fucking memorable, but it's not always a good thing. Sometimes it's bad.
And also the explanation, I think, only it gave me like verified like one because there's so much stuff going on with Lynch and he never explains any of his movies, right? So the one thing I kind of, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, is there some sort of, because in like you said, there's like 2 parts to this movie, and each person, they have different names in both parts,
Right.
and they're all playing actresses. So I was wondering, I wonder if there's some sort of context of like mirroring how the world views actresses, and
Right.
is willing to just toss them out at a moment's notice, like, oh, but this other one came along, let's put her in the spotlight now. And the 21-minute explanation video also backed that up. So I was like, yes. So I think maybe that I was like, I picked up on that one. Thank you for verifying that.
Good.
So did you not like Mulholland Drive? You like 2 scenes in it.
Exactly. I really didn't like it. It was my first taste of David Lynch.
Okay.
The other thing is also I was 12 years old or 13 years old, so my understanding was not so great, but I also have never had the inclination to go back and see it because,
Interesting.
you know, you only have so much time on this earth.
And
And
it's kind of long. I think it's like 2.5 or something like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I would recommend.
I've watched other David Lynch things since then. I just have decided that I'm not into David Lynch, so that's why I'll never see it again. All right, top 10.
Okay,
Let's see
okay,
what you
okay.
got.
I've got 7, maybe 8.
Okay, that's
Okay,
good.
so I'll get the pretentious ones out of the way, the ones that'll be like, oh yeah, everybody likes that or whatever.
We got about 39 minutes
Okay, well,
remaining
we'll
because
do
I
it.
meant to change SD cards,
Yeah.
fucking failed. So we got 39 minutes
we'll
left.
get her done.
Gotta get her done.
Okay, no specific order, but if
I think I know 2 of them.
But if I had to put number 1, we'll just start Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You're gonna start number 1.
Well, I gotta be, okay, so the Pulp Fiction came out in 94.
Yeah.
I'm 17. I saw it at a rep theater in Montreal when I first moved there. Changed what I thought movies were. Like, I just was just completely blown away.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I know that it's a lot of people's things. I know a lot of people don't like it. I know the
Yeah.
Tarantino backlash. I get all of that, but I can't lie and make up that I don't. That's not a seminal film for me.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction, great.
Boom.
You don't have to defend.
Well, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. You have to defend.
You have to defend. Yeah, yeah,
No, only for this guy.
yeah.
I'm not the only one in the world. Yeah.
So that's
Carry
one.
on.
Godfather 1.
Brilliant.
Why,
It's a
though?
plot. I just love the stories. I just love the storytelling style. I love how it draws it out. I love seeing young Al Pacino who doesn't look like Al Pacino the way we know him now.
Yeah. David's never seen Godfather. That's why
Okay,
he
well
says that.
that's why he says it.
But also, you should have to defend it because not everybody would agree that Godfather's that good.
That's wrong. Everyone agrees.
I know.
Godfather 1.
I know that.
Love Godfather 1. Love Godfather 2.
Yes.
Everybody hates Godfather 3. I didn't have as much of a problem with it as everybody else.
This is.
I feel horrible for Sofia Coppola.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. She got backed into a situation that was a no-win.
Yeah.
An absolute no-win.
This is brought up in The Sopranos. I don't know if you ever watched The Sopranos, greatest television series of all time.
Yeah.
And he references Godfather periodically, and he just refers to him as 1 and 2 and whatever.
And-
So,
yeah.
and he says, 1 and 2 obviously are masterpieces. He says 3 I think is just misunderstood, and I believe it is. Those are my favorite movies, arguably, and I've done some research, and the first Godfather came out, and Francis Ford Coppola wanted to call the second one Godfather Part 2. And the studio said, no fucking way. That's like a horror movie thing, basically, right? Friday the 13th,
Right, yeah.
Part 2, whatever.
Halloween, yeah.
They said it'll only lead to a shitty sequel. It's got to have its own name, right? Which was unconventional at the time. He insisted upon it. Luckily, they relented because he had made one of the most successful movies of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
he knows
so
what
it
he's
became a
doing.
thing. The problem is, Godfather Part 3, he wanted to be called The Death of Michael Corleone. So that it's Godfather Part 1, Godfather Part 2, and then The Death of Michael Corleone.
Which you know exactly what's gonna
Exactly,
happen.
and it changes the whole expectation of the film, which is so important. And,
That's interesting.
And they refused.
Coppola wanted that title?
Yes, and then at that point, 1993, they refused and he had a little less power, blah blah, because he hadn't done anything since number 2 or Apocalypse
and the
Now or
problem with
Conversation or
Part 3,
whatever.
though, too, is too much time had went by.
Yeah.
They had banged out those first 2 within a couple of years. Then a decade went by for
Yeah.
Part 3, and it just built up
I
way
blew
too
my
much
mind when you
expectation.
just said 93. I was
Yeah,
like,
but
whoa.
the thing is, so it's a totally different thing. You know what I mean? Like it's part of the canon, but it's just
Right.
like an epilogue. So
But
if
when-
you consider it that way, it's much less egregious. It's much more
I like
acceptable
that.
film.
When you wait too long to make that next film,
Holy Zoolander 2, hello.
bad things are gonna happen.
Anchorman, hello. Dumb and Dumber, hello.
Dumb and Dumber. Oh, we talked about Dumb and Dumber too. Oh no. Okay.
I mean, there's so many examples.
What
Is
about
all I'm saying.
Halloween? This year was pretty good.
Disagree. Moving on.
Okay, moving on. Okay.
Does he have to defend the disagreement?
No. I do defend the disagreement quite well in a previous podcast episode.
Oh yeah, you can find that on www.doesn'texist.com.
He's bitter, it sounds like. Okay.
Okay. So next
For
one.
those listening at home, somehow this has now reached your ears, and at this point in time, it doesn't
Can you
exist
return
anywhere.
this recording device?
Yeah.
Carrying on.
Okay, carrying on. Okay, so this could be another grown one, I'm sure. Box office success, won a bunch of awards, whatever else. I absolutely loved when I saw it in the theater for the first time. Braveheart, like
Incredible.
Factual problems there, possibly in some of it, but I remember seeing that. in the cheap theater in Montreal, like a midnight showing, and the theater was packed, and we were right in the front, like in the front row. And like people, when that first war happens, people were jumping out of their seats and screaming. Like it was pandemonium in the theater.
I
People
am
hadn't
Braveheart.
seen it.
I am Braveheart.
It was so good, and the stuff just builds up so much. It's a powerful film, and I love Braveheart.
It's one of the greatest epics of all time, I believe.
Agreed. Like it's so good. There's so many great characters. Like Brendan Gleeson in that as Hamish is so good, and then Brian
Young
Cox.
Brendan Gleeson.
Yes, and then Brian Cox is Uncle Argyle. I mean, every character across the board is so good.
Robert the Bruce. When he goes
Angus
into
McFadden.
Yeah, when he goes in to confront his father after he betrayed Braveheart. That's like one of my favorite monologues. It's not really a monologue, but one of my favorite scenes of all time.
And the great thing about Braveheart that I think people don't appreciate is that at the time when that movie came out, how big that it actually was.
Yeah.
And up until the end of the movie, unless it was ruined for you, you don't know if he's going to die or not.
Yeah.
You think that they're in the crowd, the Irish dude and Gleeson are there, they're totally going to save him.
Yeah.
And when you have that feeling where you're like, oh, he's not getting away.
Yeah.
He's dying on this table.
And it's
the emotional
literally
resonance
torture.
there.
Literally torture.
I mean, that's one of the big ones where they kill the hero at the end. Like, so movies after that, Gladiator, they kill Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Last Samurai, I love that movie. Would it be one of my favorites if Tom Cruise would have died at the end?
Yeah.
He takes 100 bullets, but then presents the sword to the Emperor of Japan. It's like, you should have died in that story.
Have you seen it?
Was
the
that
last
the
three
Emperor's
movies
Last
that were
Line
mentioned,
movie?
I have not seen.
You haven't seen Braveheart?
No.
That's embarrassing for
Or
you.
Godfather.
Have you seen Braveheart?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Okay,
Of course.
Okay. So now we'll go off the path a bit now for next one.
I've seen the Care Bear Braveheart.
You're only digging a deeper hole for yourself.
Lionheart was his name.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lionheart's
man.
his name. That's
Was
right.
it?
I didn't want to throw you under the bus, but yes, it was.
Your ancestry is what?
You were giving me the Care Bear stare across the table. I knew I had something wrong.
Your ancestry is what?
Bear
Part
contact.
Irish or
Scottish.
mostly Jewish? Scottish.
Yeah, I'm Scottish Dutch.
It's embarrassing for your whole family that you're Scottish and you've never seen Braveheart.
Oh, I've seen.
I will apologize to your parents next time I see them.
I've seen. You know that.
He's got nothing. Have you even seen Rob Roy?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Okay, next one. German film.
Is that what it's called?
No, it's a German film.
Okay.
Run, Lola, Run.
Yes, very good. That's one of the 1001 you must see before you die, according to a book I have.
Directed by Tom Tykwer.
Yeah.
Before you live, die, repeat.
He also did. Tom Tykwer directed part of Cloud Atlas with the Wachowskis.
Okay, yeah.
And I know a lot of people. I'm not going to put Cloud Atlas in my top 10, but I know a ton of people hated it.
And you loved it.
Fucking loved Cloud Atlas.
Oh, I hated it. With the majority, but I recently did a podcast with some guys who also loved it. So now I'm
Was his
starting
name
to
Logan?
come around. No.
Logan loves Cloud Atlas.
Logan Bangle?
Yeah. Loves Cloud
Oh.
Atlas.
Don't they just call Cloud Atlas Google Maps? That's the Atlas in the cloud, right?
Then actually, you're the third person that I met, because Logan, and I seem to have forgotten that one, and then a second guy, I think it was Jamie Moffat or his friend, this guy
Cloud
from Quebec.
Atlas was so beautiful. If you didn't like it, you have a short attention span. You just don't get it. Like if you don't like Cloud Atlas, it's actually a bit of a character flaw for me. A little bit. Okay, so back to
I'm not the only one who judges people by the movies that they like.
But back to Run Lola Run.
Seen.
I saw Run Lola Run in the theater in Montreal, and much like Pulp Fiction.
You saw everything in Montreal.
Yeah, it sounds like on this podcast we're gathering you only like
No,
movies.
but Montreal must have been amazing is what I'm gathering. Like,
Well,
fuck.
I moved to Montreal when I was 17. I lived there for almost a decade. So that's like
Okay.
formative years for me, and my love of movies took shape.
He saw them all in
at
like a
theaters
French
in
dub with
Montreal.
English subtitles.
No, Run Lola Run did the same thing for me that Pulp Fiction did, that The Matrix did. They blew my mind away with what a movie could be.
Okay, yeah.
So
And they
Run
all
Lola
star
Run,
Keanu Reeves.
Run Lola Run plays out in 3 separate scenarios.
Yeah.
about this girl trying to help her boyfriend come up with $100,000 in 20 minutes because he lost the money on the subway train and he's got to pay his drug dealer boss this $100,000.
Right.
So he calls his girlfriend Lola, Franca Potente from Born Identity. She's Matt Damon's girlfriend in the Born Identity, and the second one where she gets
We were
clipped.
looking for just like a 2 sentence.
Okay.
Hey, don't steal. Hey, don't.
Hour
Don't.
on you're like, what? Wow.
And don't steal my line, okay?
Hey, thanks, Bogart.
I'm the.
No, I was just saying for Moon, you didn't let me talk about it because you want to see it, and now you're like playing all of Run Lola Run.
I'm the gatekeeper, and he didn't pause for his description, right? You had your intro, and then you stopped, and you had to think about it.
Well, I like to pause and take that time.
Wow, this podcast should be called Run Your Mouth, Lola Run. Right?
Yeah.
Man, if Beale Street could talk, it would be this podcast.
Well, they do. There's a great technique in Run Lola Run that they do too, where she will run by somebody. She'll run by somebody and bump into them, and then they show like 10 still frames, and it says "and then," and it goes bing, 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 and it shows an entire lifetime of that character.
Right.
What happened after she met her, and I thought that was a revolutionary technique.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, it really showed a lot.
Yeah, PowerPoint, a revolutionary technique.
Very original
Who
film.
invited this fucking
I
guy?
know.
Like,
He just happened to
unbelievable.
be here at the bar skulking around, and I felt sorry for him.
Before I moved, so Run Lola Run.
No, I like that movie. I saw it in film and at U of R in English.
Run Lola Run?
No, sorry.
English
So
subtitles?
we're doing the French. I did the French bit, so it didn't work.
So
No, I
Tom
saw Run
Tykwer
Lola Run
also
in film
did.
and-
I won't put this in the top 10, but another. While we're talking Run Lola Run, you also need to see The Princess and the Warrior, Tom Tykwer's next movie that he did with Franca Potente,
That's not
and
in
the
this- that's
guy
not in your
who
top?
plays Hugo Stieglitz in Inglourious Bastards.
Right,
his
okay,
name
yeah.
is Bruno something, I believe.
Yeah.
He's the main guy in The Princess and the Warrior. Check that out.
Did Tom Tykwer also do Tinker Sailor Soldier Spy, or am I mistaken?
Oh, maybe. You know what? I've never seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy because of the title.
Okay.
That sounds like a title that that drunk uncle would use in a weekend.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
He also did a hologram with the king. I never saw it, but I assume it's
Is that
brutal.
Tom Hanks?
No, yeah.
Oh wow, Tom Tykwer did that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it.
Did you see
this
it?
week.
Oh,
No, I
wow.
haven't seen it, but I'll watch it because Tykwer did it. But he also did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
Tinker
No,
Tailor
he
Spy?
did.
Okay,
No, he
good,
did.
okay.
You ever play a Tinker
I am
Toys?
mistaken.
Yes.
But what he did do is Perfume, which is an amazing film. 2006. I saw it in film school,
Perfume.
and it's an incredible film to watch because cinema, as we know, comes through the eyes and the ears, and that movie was so good that you actually appreciate it through your nose, even though that's impossible. It's so good at setting it like through the use.
Building mood, you can smell the film.
Exactly. Through the use of visuals and auditory things, you actually feel like you're smelling some of the things that you're seeing. It's incredible.
This might be a long shot, but did you guys actually watch it in the 4D theater in Toronto, where they use scents sometimes?
Really?
No.
Yeah, I think Vancouver might have one too. I saw Beauty and the Beast there, and it was amazing.
What does Belle smell like?
There was a lot of
answer that.
There was a lot of rose smell through
Oh, okay,
the air.
yeah.
And they use gusts of air.
The funny thing is, okay, I've been to Universal Studios where they kind of use that, and they use like,
Oh,
like
Universal Studios is
the
great.
window blow in your face
Yeah.
and stuff, and it's bullshit. It's a gimmick. But I've actually thought it would be better if they used scents instead of blowing air. That a scent would be far more effective. If all of a sudden you're in the hood and it smells like piss, it would go a long way. Now, Perfume, I didn't see
What
it.
movie is that?
No, a lot of movies actually. If you
So any movie set in New York should smell
New
like
York or
urine all
Vancouver
the
smells
time.
like urine.
Pump piss into the theater.
If it's set in San Francisco,
Every Woody Allen movie smells like piss.
exactly. If it's set in San Francisco, it smells like shit because San Francisco is the worst smelling city I've ever been in.
Really?
So
yeah, by far.
Couldn't you just watch a San Francisco movie in San Francisco then?
I did. I saw The Hateful Eight in San Francisco. It smelled like shit. Okay.
So it took you out of the movie then.
But I saw it. No, it's a great movie.
Okay, that's good.
Perfume. We saw it just in a classmate's apartment, and it was It was awesome.
Okay, nice.
It's also things get romanticized a little when you're in film school
Yes.
because you're studying such greats and like so much is coming at you so quickly, right? You're learning a lot and you're getting this whole new appreciation for a lot of things. So
Except for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Right. It's like at the beginning of your.
No, but if you go to the U of R, that's all you'll get. That's what they study at the U of R is 2001: Space Odyssey. So that'll be the only one that you come out loving. So, needless to say. All right.
Okay, so, next. Josh brought up a hockey movie. I'm gonna go to a hockey movie. Slapshot.
Yes.
Slapshot's
the
one of my
Hanson
all-time
brothers.
favorite movies. My dad begged my mom to let me watch that movie when I turned 12. It was a rite of passage for me. So I have a lot of nostalgic feelings with my dad and with old-time hockey and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
When I think of that movie, it was funny. We were talking about how the film you were saying about the guy couldn't skate. When they did Slapshot 2, which for years was in discussions to be remade, and for a long time John Candy was supposed to play the goalie in Slapshot 2. That was the big rumor, that John Candy was going to play the goalie in Slapshot 2.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work out.
That
So,
would've been great.
so who did they cast? Stephen Baldwin. Oh no. Okay, guess what? Can Stephen Baldwin skate? No. And they couldn't even cut around it. It's so Slapshot 2 is
When
so
did 2 come out? Late
fucking
90s, right?
bad. Late 90s, yeah, early 2000s. Was filmed in Vancouver.
It's a sequel
so bad.
so many years after the fact again.
Yeah.
You could take probably about 20 minutes out of Slapshot because it's a little bit longer, long in the tooth. But Paul Newman's so good. The hands are just so good. The whole thing about it, it's lovely.
And it's such a classic. It's one of those cult favorites that even though it has problems, it's still you can love it, right? It's easy to love because it's so.
Slapshot's one of those films that a lot of the stuff in terms of the Me Too movement and toxic masculinity and all of the things doesn't hold up, but it's still if it's funny, it's funny, and it still works.
It's funny. I think it's not meant to be taken at. It's one of those things that not necessarily what the characters preach is what the movie preaches. Right. That's not always the case. So
agreed.
Like the guys, the interview about what's wrong to do in hockey, right? He's like, you can't slash.
Yeah,
you can't. Right.
I seen happen when the puck come down, bang before the other guy. My arm goal comes up like this. The game stopped and start up. Explain tripping. You don't do that. You're just some English pig. Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Great.
Now you got to put in Lord of the Rings so you can do your Gollum. And...
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Lord of the Rings.
They will charge us for long distance.
No, that's not it. That's
a good one. Do you have any stand-up bits in Gollum?
Yes, I do. You'll have to see it. I don't want to do that bit. I just referenced it, I think.
Well, you hate to waste it here on the audience.
Okay. Are you wanting me to tell a bit? Because you seem like you don't.
No, he's so upset.
So everyone's gonna hear it, and then you won't be able to use it in one of your shows.
Right.
The audience that this podcast has is gonna hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna be an asshole, buddy, because it's gonna come out, and then people will be listening to you talking about how this thing doesn't exist, and it very much exists. And then who the fuck are you?
You're gonna be able to smell how much of an asshole he is on this podcast.
Exactly. Can you smell the bullshit coming out of this guy right now?
Devil listen to this podcast in San Francisco. Apparently, that's the place to.
Okay.
How many you got left?
3.
Sweet. We got tons of time. Let's hear them.
Tombstone.
Brilliant movie.
That's my pick for the Western. As far as being an actor, I love great performances. Like Heath Ledger, the Joker. I feel like Val Kilmer as Doc, Doc Holliday in that is next level shit.
Yeah,
it's next level stuff.
I'll be a Huckleberry.
I'll throw a Val Kilmer. I don't know why it's not in my top 10, but Val Kilmer and Heat.
I'm shocked you didn't have that in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked too. Actually, I'm gonna put. I've got 9 movies. I'm gonna throw Heat in there.
Okay.
Not honorable mention. Heat's in there now too.
Heat's one I gotta watch again. I watched it and I thought it's pretty good, but I've heard from a couple people that I trust. They're like, it's amazing. I gotta watch it again.
As far as 3-hour epic crime dramas go, Heat's at the top of the list. All right. Okay, so Tombstone, Heat. And this one I'm kind of torn about because you guys
Tombstone?
mentioned. No, not Tombstone.
Okay.
The next one. We're gonna move on because Tombstone I feel speaks for itself.
I think it does. But have you seen it?
I haven't. No.
And have you seen it? No. That's the problem. So you guys gotta go watch Tombstone, right?
Well, Sam Elliott.
I know the font.
Sam Elliott, who's up for an Oscar this year for Stars Born.
And I hope he gets it.
Huge part
Yeah.
in Tombstone. The late Bill Paxton,
Yeah.
who he's not my favorite in all the things, but Tombstone might be my favorite Bill Paxton movie.
He's good. He's always reliable. Bill Paxton is never bad.
He's a good
And then, Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp. Like,
Kurt Russell, and what's his name who plays the
Powers
villain?
Booth is the bad guy.
Yeah, Powers Booth, incredible bad guy.
And then Michael Biehn playing Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
Jason Priestley showing up as a character that didn't need to be in the movie. they cut a whole scene from him. Billy Zane and his romance. There was a whole part there that
Billy
they
Zane, my good friend Billy Zane.
Yeah. What?
And something that I just found out is that the guy who directed Tombstone, his son is the guy who directed Mandy.
Oh.
And on a previous episode of the podcast, I had a buddy who said that it was the same guy, but in fact it was not. It was his son who directed Mandy.
Also, one guy in Tombstone that I forgot to mention, other than Charlton Heston, who shows up for the brief cameo, Billy Bob Thornton. It's like I'm playing cards with my sister's kids.
Right.
Some shit. And then, what's his name, too, as Ike.
Yeah.
Right? Law don't go around here, Mr. Candace, law dog.
It's really a very good Western movie, especially for people who don't even like Westerns will love it.
What's his name? Stephen what? The guy who played Stonewall Jackson in Gods and Generals. He plays Ike. Stephen...
Right. He's
Stephen
also an
Wright
Avatar.
does?
Not Stephen Wright.
He's also an Avatar, right? He's
Yes, he's the bad guy in Avatar.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember
He
his
was
name.
great in Don't Breathe.
He's good in lots of... Yes.
Yeah.
He's good in lots of
It's not
things.
Stephen Jackson. Stephen Jackson was a running back for the
He's
Rams and the Falcons. Oh no, Stephen.
He is not one of the first 8 Stevens to be listed on IMDb.
I'll look it up while you get your next one.
Okay.
But great movie, and fun fact, I've actually been to Tombstone, Arizona,
Oh, wow.
which is where the movie theoretically takes place.
Like OK Corral is
Stephen
in
Lang.
Yeah.
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang, yeah.
Stephen
How did we
Lang.
not get it?
Stephen Lang.
Yeah, I've been to the real Tombstone, OK Corral, everything.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Okay, moving on. The movie that I'm torn about, and you guys mentioned another one of his movies earlier, Baby Driver.
Right,
Kevin
Edgar
Spacey's
Wright.
in it. Usual Suspects.
Suspects, yeah.
Christopher McQuarrie, Bryan Singer directed it, and just Benicio del Toro was so good in that.
Why are you torn about it?
Well, I don't know how to feel about Kevin Spacey movies.
Right. So there's my thing,
Does
actually.
Kevin Spacey, what he's done, ruin movies he's in now? That's my question.
And that's to each man decide, but I think the thing is that no artist should that affect their previous work, because if you want to look at that stuff, there will be nothing that's acceptable, right? Depending on who you are, I guess, too, and your set of values. I'm a Christian, and if I were to look at every piece of art through the scope of the people involved in it, I would never like any movies.
Right.
Because on every movie, there's some guy who cheats on his wife, there's some guy who's murdered somebody, or there's somebody who, you know what I mean?
No, I hear what you're saying.
And furthermore, nobody is perfect. Especially, I think, with artists, you have to separate their art from who they are.
Yeah.
Same with, and to a lesser degree, how you separate athletes from who they are. Like, Bo
But
Jackson.
should we though?
That's a question. Maybe we should. But like, for example, Bo Jackson, one of the most incredible athletes of all time.
My favorite, by the way.
Like you said, though,
if it comes out,
everybody, I think.
yeah, and if it comes out later that Bo Jackson, I don't know, was a Bill Cosby or something, and he raped like all these girls, that wouldn't change how fast he actually was. You know what I mean? Like, the guy might be a piece of shit, but that wouldn't change his actual athletic accomplishments.
Right.
Art is a little different because sometimes who they are in their personal life goes into their movie. So,
well, art's more subjective. I feel like art's is subjective, sports is objective, because you're measuring it. Like, you're not gonna, if somebody did that, you're not gonna, his speed doesn't come down because he did something offensive.
Yeah, that's true. And to me, I would argue that it's more similar than it is dissimilar, and that like a guy like Woody Allen, who maybe I think he is very questionable in his personal life.
Maybe? Are we saying maybe at this point?
Well, I'm saying maybe because I would say guilty or innocent and proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, so I'm not one who says
there's
guilty by
there's a lot of
public
pictures
opinion.
of him with his stepdaughter.
Okay.
Who's under it. Just so you know.
Right.
Okay.
So, anyways, and for me, that wouldn't make his movies worse because I view his movies as something else, as something separate from him himself.
Okay.
So, But if you feel that way, then I wouldn't hold it against you by any means. Yeah.
What's the Woody Allen one? I've never seen it, but I've always meant to. Partly because I don't know what it's called. But what's the one where Burt Reynolds is playing the sperm captain?
Sperm captain. I don't know which one that is.
Isn't it a Woody Allen movie where they're in a? I believe they're in a sperm and they're treating it like they're like on a mission. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a Woody Allen movie.
This WTF moment brought to you by Josh Fleming. I don't know. I certainly haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, maybe I am.
But I've only seen about half of Woody Allen's movies because he's got so many fucking movies.
This is, I won't say I enjoy talking about this, but these are important conversations. Like, if we're going to call ourselves artists and we're going to move forward with this type of stuff, I feel like these are important conversations to have. Like, we're just going to slide to the side and be like, hey, it's your own opinion, let's not talk about it. I don't want to do that. I feel like...
Exactly. And to me, there's a difference between deciding that you're not going to support someone in the future and lying about their past. So it's different for me to like say that I'll personally never buy a ticket to another Kevin Spacey movie. And that doesn't mean I'm going to all of a sudden lie and say that Usual Suspects wasn't a good movie, because it was a fucking good movie.
Well, and you know what? We were talking about, we love talking about M. Night Shyamalan all the time, which Glass I thought was really good. People are torn on. I love that whole trilogy.
I love Unbreakable, for sure.
But like what he did with Sixth Sense and his idea of the whole M. Night Shyamalan ending, that huge, massive twist. Usual Suspects got that ball rolling. Like, there's not one person who can tell me they guessed the end of that movie. Like, don't lie to me.
And you're not
there's no way you got that. What's that?
And you're not going to say it right now.
You're not going to say it.
Well, I knew the ending, but only because I watched it 20 years after it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah.
And I saw a scary movie.
Right.
And I knew the walk was going to change.
But yeah, no, Benicio del Toro was so good in that.
Yeah.
And Kevin Pollak, too. And you know what? I ripped on Stephen Baldwin earlier. Stephen Baldwin, okay in Usual Suspects.
Redemption.
He didn't have to be in skates, so it's okay.
I love it.
Okay, well, I got one more. One more, parentheses, two more, because there's a sequel to it, and I think that maybe I've only seen the sequel once, but the sequel might be better than the original.
I love your delivery on that line. That was brilliant.
Because the first version of it is one that just stuck with me so much, and I was literally falling out of my seat laughing when I saw it in the theater. Super Troopers.
Wow. Okay.
Super Troopers is one of my all-time favorite comedies.
Wow.
I was very, very nervous about part 2 because they took so long to make it. But guess what? They fucking delivered.
Wow.
They really, really delivered.
Hashtag
really
unpopular opinion. I do think it's unquestionable that Super Troopers 1 is a classic,
like number 2?
Classic comedy. Number 2.
How come?
I think I need some distance from it before I absolutely decide. I thought it was too reliant on the same thing as like what your problem would have been with Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay.
Is that they tried to just up the stakes and do the same thing, and to me it didn't come off well.
And I thought they pulled it off. And I'm a huge stickler for accents. I'm a huge stickler for the French-Canadian accent. So like the goalie in Slapshot fucking nails it.
Yeah.
I feel like them playing the cops as the Quebec cops in Super Troopers 2, like Will Sasso and what's the other great Canadian guy, Tyler Labine, and the other dude. I thought they were
the other
nailing
dude's
it.
not Canadian, which I was interested to find out.
I thought they did it great though.
Like the really tall guy, I thought he was one of the better Canadian ones. I found out he's from Chicago.
And yes, right. And then I think that Rob Lowe drew on his Wayne's World battiness to bring out this kind of weird character. I just Super Troopers 2 had so much expectations for me, and I feel like they met it. So it holds up as a great sequel for me.
Perhaps my expectations are too high because I really, really love Super Troopers. I also think
It's powdered sugar, and it's delicious.
I'm also overly sensitive to anti-Canada material. Like when people make fun of Canada.
But did you think they were making fun of Canada, or did you think that they were giving us...
Definitely.
See, I thought they were giving us a big spot under the light. Honestly, I thought it was showing us in a great light.
It depends. Like some things I'll find funny, but some things I find too stereotypical and like easy, like low-hanging fruit.
Sure.
So some of it I really liked, some of it I didn't. My favorite line was when he says, it's early in the movie, and he says, "Oh, I love Canada." Another guy looks at him and he says, "Good one." that was my favorite line, but I don't know. To me, like Farva was one of the better parts of the first movie,
Yeah.
but it was only because he wasn't like the main character, right? He
Right.
was just the rim shot.
So you thought there was too much in
And I thought it was too much of him being a central character, which he certainly deserves screen time to be
I
funny,
get your
but
criticism. I feel like upon second viewing, you'll like it more than the first time, and I probably won't like it as much as I did.
that's probably true. Yeah.
We'll both probably move a little bit.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I found out what that Woody Allen movie is
You
called.
opened
Okay, what is it?
Everything you always wanted to know about sex, but
We're afraid to ask. Yes,
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I didn't know that's what it was about.
The Woody Allen movie. It's 7 separate
What's it
stories,
called?
so it's just one of the stories. Everything you always wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underappreciated favorite Woody Allen movie? Small Time Crooks. If you haven't seen that,
Haven't
check it
seen
out.
it.
Tracy Ullman's in it. Great.
Okay. Yeah, I do like Woody Allen. I think some of his movies are just too much the same. It's like almost listening to, if you don't like country music, listen to country music, every song sounds the
I'm
same.
having trouble with my relationship.
Exactly.
You're too young for me, but I'm going to pursue you anyway.
Exactly. Every lead character is the same in every Woody Allen movie. So, but he's really good at what he does. So, you know. But certainly that was my feeling with Dark
He's
Knight.
good at making movies. I wouldn't say he's good at what he does.
Exactly.
I'd say he's good at making
Well,
movies.
what he does is make movies. But so, and Dark Knight would be maybe what I'll feel like about Super Troopers, although not to the same degree. Is that I
far as
didn't like it.
sequel goes.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but every time I watch it since, I've loved it more and more. So maybe that'll be the case.
Like, I can't wait to dive into Super Troopers 2 the way I have Super Troopers 1. Like, I still now watch Super Troopers 1 and pick up new things, and it blows me away how fine-tuned those laughs were.
Yeah, to me, yeah. There's some classic comedy scenes in that for sure.
Yeah.
And we have a couple minutes left, about 9 according to my recorder. So it's funny, one thing I want to talk about with Josh, and it only makes it more true now that it's 3 comedians at the table, is I wanted to talk about kind of the state of comedy.
And I'm also here.
Brutal. I wanted to talk about, I said 3 comedians. That means...
He called you comedian. Are you upset
Yeah.
by that?
I beat him to the punch to make fun of me before he could.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna, and then you brought it back around. So, but I wanted to ask you guys about comedy in today's society, and not necessarily the Me Too society, but more the social justice society that we live in. And
Do we have enough white males to discuss this topic?
Yeah. Exactly. So, one, how do you think comedy has changed, and maybe the last 15 years, or since you've been doing it even, and do you think it's okay? Do you think it's going to be fine going forward, or do you think there's going to be some trouble for comedy? What with certain incidents, right? Like how a comedian will have a bit, it gets recorded, taken out of the room, and put in the news as
Is this a
highly,
new podcast, or is this the same podcast?
As what?
No, I'm just
This
saying,
is-
are we starting a new podcast? Is the same one?
This is the same podcast,
Oh,
but
geez,
this
okay,
is
cool.
this is what I.
I think, well, I know we've talked about this before. My one stance on it is, you know, if you're gonna, I think the comedy is always, it's gonna be the last type of performing that people die on. I think it's gonna be the hardest one to change. I think personally.
Interesting.
And as far as I think as long as if you're willing to tackle subjects like that, I do believe you should be able to find humor in any situation, no matter how heinous or whatever. I personally don't go after. I have pretty blue material, but I wouldn't say I have too many that go after like super touchy stuff. I try to make some.
And what do you view as the touchy areas at this moment?
Well, I have one joke, basically that alludes to one of the mass shootings that happened in the last few years.
Which one?
In Vegas.
Okay.
But and like I feel kind of awkward telling that one. I don't tell it that often because I feel weird about it. And the only reason that is because I don't think the joke's strong enough. If I ever get that joke to a point where I think this joke's funny, I don't care what it's about, then I'll tell it all the time. I think anytime you tackle a subject that's really heavy and like a lot of people are going to be offended by it, then it better be a really, really funny joke.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we move along, have you guys heard of the Louis C.K. incident? The joke that he got recorded that was the taste and put everywhere. It was a joke about the Florida
Parkland shooting.
Yeah.
Okay, that Louis incident is 2 separate situations. He was wrong for the stuff that happened or whatever else.
Right.
Did he pay enough price before he came back I don't know. I can't decide that.
Yeah.
There's a separate issue there, though, of people recording comedians' material out of context, posting it, and then comedians getting persecuted for that.
Yeah.
That I completely disagree with.
Yeah.
Louis got roasted for shit that he wants to get on stage and rip about the Parkland kids or whatever else like that. Well, that can be in poor taste, but that was taken out of context in a set that it wasn't mean to be posted.
To be fair,
he was not trying to post things.
To be fair, it was not taken out of context. The entire set was uploaded.
Okay, but I mean out of context in that it was meant for a live performance where he's working stuff out. He's not releasing that. He's not releasing that as a fucking special.
And that's
He shouldn't be persecuted for that. Right. Whether or not he pulled his dick out in front of women and they have problems with that, that's a huge problem.
Okay, thank you.
Just in time, shots. Okay.
That's perfect. And that's why I brought it up is because I had heard some other comedians talking about it, how Josh is talking about it is that was a joke in progress, right? That wasn't his finished version of the joke.
It was in progress.
That was.
And personally, you know what? I didn't find it funny, but I've heard far more obscene shit said on stage in live audiences before. And I don't find it offensive. I don't find it offensive that Louis C.K. was making fun of the Parkland victims. Right. I don't find that offensive. I think it sucks that comics are getting their stuff recorded and then posted and people are ripping on them for that.
Also,
that's not fair.
Here's what I don't understand. We've established that he's done bad stuff.
Yes.
Why are people creating stuff now to be mad at him about?
Right.
That's what I don't understand.
And here's the thing is though, I do think it is improper to record something out of context or something that's meant to be in a comedy club and nowhere else,
right,
and then to put it out on Facebook or whatever the fuck. But that also doesn't change what it is. So, if it's okay to say in a comedy club, then it should be okay to say in general, right? And this is my problem is that like it should have been okay in a comedy venue. Right? Because nothing is off limits.
Yes.
As a Christian, I hear fucking tons of comedy, and as a Christian and a Christian who loves comedy, I hear tons of shit that I don't agree with in comedy. I would never make fun of God, and I don't like a lot of that stuff. Yeah. But I would never say that it's not okay for a comedian to say that. Right. So, by the same virtue, you can make fun of fucking anything, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And that even though it was recorded and taken out, that doesn't change the fact that it's jokes.
There's a
comedy.
big difference between free speech and hate speech. There's a massive difference between the two, and I have a problem with comics being attacked for making jokes. For me, it comes down to if there's no malice in your heart, there's no malice in your jokes. If you're a racist and you get up on stage and tell a question, it's gonna come through, and people are gonna be like, "Ugh." I don't like that. I hate going back. One more quick point. I don't know if it's in Delirious.
Tell the battery to hold on a second.
I don't know
it's
if
not the battery, it's the tape.
I don't know if
Tell the affiliates who might go long.
I don't know if it's in Delirious or Raw.
Yeah.
And a lot of Eddie Murphy stuff doesn't hold up. But there's one particular bit where he talks about Bill Cosby calling him and saying, "You can't say filth, flarn, filth." And Bill Cosby's getting mad at a young Eddie Murphy for swearing on stage. Eddie Murphy calls Richard Pryor and says, "Hey, Bill Cosby's giving me shit for this stuff." And Richard Pryor basically says, "Are the people laughing? Is that shit funny? Well, then tell him to go have a fucking Coke and a smile. Fuck off, have a nice day." Is it funny?
Yeah.
Is it funny? That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Who are they from, by the way?
Cute.
Oh, excellent.
Is it funny? Is it funny? If you tell an offside joke that everyone's laughing at, guess what? That's a good joke.
And that's the point to me is that so you talk about difference between hate speech and free speech. I'm part of a small minority of a crowd that believes that hate speech is not a real thing, because if you look at hate speech, for example, if you censor hate speech, then all of a sudden you've censored free speech, and free speech no longer exists. But
is that coming from the people who crucified Christ, or is that coming from? I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm trying.
No, that's fine. Because here's the thing: is that the whole point of, you said the difference between hate speech and like a joke is knowing the intent on the person's heart. Yes. And it's true that some people you can tell what kind of person they are by you let them talk enough, you'll figure out who they are. Yeah. But truly, you can never really know the intent on someone's heart. because you're not them, right?
Yeah.
That if someone's really skilled, like a politician or other things, they can present a view that's not their own as if it is their own, or an actor, a good actor.
Yeah.
Someone might be really good at hiding something, or someone might be really good at,
Well,
or not very good at expressing the like a positive thing.
Exactly. So doesn't that then make it that any material's got to be fine? And because here's the thing is that, like, maybe I don't agree with the joke, and I would say that it's in extreme poor taste. But if I say that guy can't say his joke that I think is fucking brutal, then doesn't that allow him to also say that this comedian's joke is not allowed to be said?
And I don't want to go all Voltaire, but like, I don't have to agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know when it's wrong. We know when it's wrong. If you walk up on stage and you're wearing a yellow vest, and you start going off on certain people's skin color, that's not a joke. You're getting up and you're performing hate speech, right? Like,
in that venue?
I don't know. If a comic walks up on stage with a yellow vest and starts ripping on people of color, I'm going to call that hate speech. I'm not going to call that a joke. If he's being funny, okay, then I guess we'll have a different conversation.
If you set the other night, you can just
Oh shit!
Yeah, and the thing is, the bar has moved so far. Is that things that were acceptable in the 70s when they were really pushing the boundaries are no longer acceptable.
Once comedians start getting silenced, we're in trouble.
That's already happening.